All right, welcome to your Wiley Manager Crash Course, where Bob and I try and give you a bit of a sneak peek into the topic of this week's full-length version of our show. And on this week's show, Bob, we chatted about communications media.
Yes, it's the Etiquette Guide to Communications Media. So just because it occurred to me when somebody asked me to fax them a document the other day.
And that's just poor etiquette in your mind, the fact that they even asked if you had a fax.
It inspired me to write a podcast, Jed. It was quite an amazing thing, quite an epiphany. I haven't been asked to fax anything in over a decade, so
all right, so
it was very quaint.
With the Etiquette Guide to media, how did we tackle that topic?
Well, we talked about 5 specific media that people will interface with, not fax, interestingly, in the workplace. So we talk about email, telephone, voicemail, social media, and face-to-face communication as 5 common media that people use.
And this was mostly, like you said, a bit of an etiquette guide to using those things appropriately. So maybe just give them a taste of one, and they can go listen to the full-length version if they have an interest in the other mediums that we discussed.
Right. So of those ones, I'm going to talk very briefly about social media. So interestingly, people have all heard this before, but we tend to forget that you have a brand out there as an individual. Even if you're just a cog in a wheel turning the handle in some corporate job somewhere, you need to manage your online presence carefully, because one day you may want to have a different job. And when I go as the hiring manager, go to Google your name and find all your frat party pictures of you getting drunk and throwing up, I might be less than hired to hire you. And I don't actually have to explain that to anybody before I hire you.
No.
Right? So you can cry out discrimination, all the other things, right? That's not a reason to that I would get in trouble for discriminating against you if I found nasty things about you online. I can get away with that.
Yep.
Right?
Indeed.
So you need to manage that brand very carefully. The other thing that people tend to forget about social media is because they're busy texting and putting Facebook posts up, and it's all written language. Well, written language is actually a very imprecise thing, especially compared to face-to-face communication. So what that means is things like sarcasm and irony don't work. Right?
Very difficult.
So you may make some joke about your employer, right, and say this thing or that thing. Well, it doesn't necessarily come across all that well when it's done in 140 characters or less in weird sort of shorthand.
Yeah.
Right? And the final sort of thing I would probably mention in regards to social media is that just because somebody sends you a Facebook request or a LinkedIn connection request or whatever other platform you're on, doesn't mean you actually have to accept it. You actually are allowed to ignore it or say no.
It hurts my feelings when you do so, but you can't ignore it.
Yeah, and we run into this all the time, Jed, because people love to, because they listen to the podcasts, and so we get people that maybe we don't know, and some of them we connect with, but if we can't figure out who you are, we probably won't, just because it would hurt our online brand if you
Charles
post
Manson
on your
wants to become your friend.
Yeah. Welcome to my
Chuck.
parole hearing.
Not going to be your friend.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, there's a bit of a sneak peek into the etiquette guide for social media. If you'd like to hear some of Bob's thoughts on the other mediums that we chatted about, please check out the full-length version of the podcast, which you can get off of iTunes or alternatively directly from our website, www.wileymanager.com.
Right on. We'll see you next time, Jed.
Thanks, Bob.